Hello, seniors! It's been a while, and I hope you are all in good health for today's another discussion. So let us go on the journey of learning on the field of Philippine politics and governance. Brace yourselves and have a happy learning ahead. The judicial branch of the Philippine government. This topic focuses on the in-depth understanding of the development of the Philippine judicial system. In this lesson, it will cover topics such as justices and judges' qualifications, scope of judicial power, as well as judicial organizational structure. Before we proceed with our discussion, let us first look upon the content standard of the topic. Demonstrate an understanding of the historical background of Philippine democratic politics, the executive, the legislative, the judiciary, and decentralization, as well as local governance. For the performance standard, the learners must be able to explain the rules of different political institutions. For the most essential learning competency, students must analyze the rules and responsibilities of the Philippine judiciary. So let us proceed with our topic about judicial branch. The Philippine judiciary is composed of different courts. This is the only branch of government that does not find itself in fusion with the other two branches. Its main function is rule adjudication or rule interpretation. In essence, it is in charge of determining the constitutionality of the law. Correspondingly, in case of conflicts of law, it decides on which one is correct. It is a non-political branch of the government whose function is to interpret, construe, and apply the law. The meaning of non-political is that the judiciary should be politically neutral and fair. These are the virtues required for the even-handed administration of justice. Judicial power. Article 8, Section 1 of the 1987 Constitution stipulates that judicial power will be vested in the Supreme Court and all lower courts. Judicial power is the power to apply the laws to contests or disputes or concerning legally recognized rights and duties between the state and private persons or to individually litigants in cases properly brought before judicial tribunal. The 1987 Philippine Constitution states that judicial power entails two activities. The first one is to settle actual controversies involving rights which are legally demandable and enforceable. And the second one is to settle whether or not there has been a grave abuse of discretion amounting to lack or excess of jurisdiction on the part of any branch or instrumentality of the government. Obviously, the judicial branch not only rules on legal issues but also on the other two branches, which are the executive and legislative. As what the late Senator Miriam Defensor Santiago said, whenever the court finds that the other department has committed grave abuse of discretion. Let us talk about the scope of judicial power. The first one is adjudicating power, followed by power of judicial review, and incidental powers. When we talk about adjudicating power, it is the power to settle legal disputes. On the other hand, power of judicial review is the power of the Supreme Court to interpret and make judgments with respect to the law. And last but not the least, incidental powers or powers necessary for the discharge of the judicial function. Thus, the central function of the judges is to adjudicate and interpret law. The judicial branch is one of the three independent, co-equal, and coordinate branches of the government, and it is manifested in the following. The first one is the creation of the Judicial Bar Council, followed by the expanded power of judicial review. And the third one is the fiscal autonomy of the judiciary, as well as power to review proclamation of martial law and suspension of the writ of habeas corpus. It also includes security of tenure of the judges and the Supreme Court as judge in presidential elections. Let us talk about the organizational structure of the judicial branch. There are three kinds of courts in the country: the regular courts, the special courts, and the quasi-judicial courts or the quasi-judicial agencies. Regular courts include the following: Supreme Court, Court of Appeals, Regional Trial Courts, Metropolitan Trial Courts, Municipal Trial Courts, Municipal Circuit Trial Courts, and Municipal Trial Courts in cities. The first two are review courts and the last two are trial courts. Special courts are tribunals that have limited jurisdiction over certain cases or controversies. The Sharia Court, the Court of Tax Appeals, and the Diego Bayan are examples of special courts. Quasi-courts or quasi-judicial agencies exercise adjudicatory powers in certain types of controversies. These include agencies such as the Civil Service Commission, Commission on Elections, and Commission on Audit. Let us talk all about the highest court of the land, which is the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court, also known as the Court of Last Resort, is the highest court, composed of a Chief Justice and 14 Associate Justices. They are all appointed by the President from a list given by the Integrated Bar of the Philippines. It can review, revise, reverse, modify, or affirm final judgments and orders of the lower court. The most common reason by which a case reaches the Supreme Court is through an appeal from a decision rendered by a lower court. Appealed cases generally originate from cases tried in the trial courts. The Supreme Court does not entertain cases originally filed before it that should have been filed first with the trial courts. There are two categories in the functions of the Supreme Court. It is administrative and judicial. So let us talk about administrative functions. The first one is supervision and control over the judicial branch of the government and its employees. Declare rules for the admission into the practice of law, for legal assistance to the underprivileged, and the procedural rules to be observed in all courts throughout the country. For judicial functions, settlement of actual controversies involving rights which are legally demandable and enforceable. Judicial review, or the power of the Supreme Court to inquire into the constitutionality of the acts of both the executive and legislative branches of government. Qualifications to become a Justice of Supreme Court. Here are the following requirements to be appointed to the Supreme Court. The first one must be natural-born citizen of the Philippines, at least 50 years old at the time of appointment, must have been a judge of a lower court or engaged in the practice of law in the country for 15 years or more, must be a person of proven competence, integrity, probity, and independence. Here is also the tenure of office in the Supreme Court. The term of office of Supreme Court members is not fixed. Their tenure during good behavior is until they reach 70 years old or become incapacitated to perform their duties. They can be removed from their position only through impeachment. Court of Appeals. The Court of Appeals is the second highest tribunal or legal court in the country. It is composed of a presiding officer and 69 associate justices who are all appointed by the President. Generally, Court of Appeals receives, reviews, and resolves appeals on decisions of regional trial courts, as well as that of the Office of the Ombudsman, in cases wherein one of the parties is not satisfied with the decision. Court of Appeals also has the power on the issuance of certain legal documents and orders. Jurisdiction of the Court of Appeals. Original jurisdiction to issue writs of mandamus, prohibition, certiorari, habeas corpus, and quo warranto, and auxiliary writs or processes, whether in aid of its appellate jurisdiction. Exclusive original jurisdiction over actions for annulment of judgments of regional trial courts. Exclusive appellate jurisdiction over all final judgments, resolutions, orders, or awards of regional trial courts and quasi-judicial agencies, instrumentalities, boards, or commissions. The Court of Appeals shall also have the power to try cases and conduct hearings, receive evidence, and perform acts necessary to resolve factual issues raised in cases falling within its original and appellate jurisdiction, including the power to grant and conduct new trials or proceedings. Sandigan Bayan. Sandigan Bayan is a special court that has exclusive jurisdiction on committed violations of anti-graft and corruption laws by public officials and employees in relation to their position and office. The jurisdiction of the Sandigan Bayan. Violations of Republic Act No. 3019 or the Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act as amended and Chapter 2, Section 2, Title 7, Book 2 of the Revised Penal Code, where one or more of the accused are officials of the government. Other offenses or felonies, whether simple or complex, with other crimes committed by the public officials and employees mentioned in subsection A of this section in relation to their office. Civil and criminal cases filed pursuant to and in connection with Executive Order Numbers 1, 2, 14, and 14A Series of 1986. In addition, the Sandigan Bayan exercises exclusive appellate jurisdiction over final judgments, resolutions, or orders or regional trial courts, whether in the exercise of their own original jurisdiction or of their appellate jurisdiction as herein provided. The Sandigan Bayan also has exclusive original jurisdiction over petitions for the issuances of the writs of mandamus, prohibition, certiorari, habeas corpus, injunctions, and other ancillary writs and processes in aid of its appellate jurisdiction, and over petitions of similar nature, including quo warranto, arising or that may arise in cases filed or which may be filed under Executive Orders No. 1, 2, 14, and 14A issued in 1986. Court of Tax Appeals. The Court of Tax Appeals or CTA, which is one of the same level as the Court of Appeals, was created by virtue of Republic Act No. 1125, which was signed into law on June 16, 1954. Its present-day form was constituted through Republic Act 1125 as amended by Republic Act No. 9282, and Republic Act No. 9503. The Court of Tax Appeals is composed of 1 presiding justice and 5 associate justices. It retains exclusive appellate jurisdiction to review by appeal not only civil tax cases but also those that are criminal in nature. It focuses on reviewing and resolving appeals of decisions from the Commissioner of Internal Revenue, Commissioner of Customs, Department of Finance, Department of Trade and Industry, and other legal courts concerning cases related to tax, tariffs, and other monetary obligations to the government. Regional Trial Court. Regional trial courts are called second-level courts and are divided into 13 judicial regions, or further subdivided into several branches. RTCs are called appellate courts because these courts hear appeals and review the decision of lower courts. Branches of the Regional Trial Court. It includes Metropolitan Trial Court, Municipal Trial Court in cities, Municipal Trial Court, Municipal Circuit Trial Court. These courts decide cases involving violations of city or municipal ordinances, as well as offenses punishable with imprisonment not exceeding 6 years. Sharia Trial Court. The Sharia court has the powers like the regular courts, but the subjects over whom judicial powers exercise are limited only to Muslim Filipinos. Jurisdiction of the Sharia Trial Court. All cases involving custody, guardianship, legitimacy, paternity, and filiation arising under Presidential Decree 1083. All cases involving disposition, distribution, and settlement of the estate of the deceased Muslim, probate of wills, issuance of letters of administration, or appointment of administrators or executors regardless of the value of the properties. Petitions for declaration of absence and death, and for cancellation and correction of entries in the Muslim registries. It also includes all actions arising from customary contracts in which the parties are involved. Relationship with the executive and legislative branches of the judicial branch. One of the weakest among the branches of the government is the judicial branch, since it cannot perform its duties without petitions being filed by the citizens of judicial interpretation. The judicial branch is always independent from the executive and legislative branches in order to avoid the political clout of the two branches. Furthermore, their powers is only to interpret the laws within the constitutional bounds and not contrary to the organic laws. Guess it's time to say goodbye for now, my dear learners. See you next time.